The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to the Shadows and Stardust podcast. I am your host, Andrea Jane, and tonight we have a very special guest for you, a dear friend of mine. Please welcome Sarah E. Christ, psychic medium at large. Welcome, Sarah.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm so excited to have you. I would love to introduce you to the masses, but you do so many different things, and I want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself and tell our listeners what it is that you do and the types of services that you offer.
Awesome. Yeah. So hello, everybody. I consider myself a metaphysician, and, I call that also a psychic medium, but just for simplicity's sake, metaphysic. And that's basically an expert, somebody who's a student in, the branch of philosophy that deals with how do they call it? The first principle of things, abstract concepts, such as being and knowing, So basically what I do is I do a lot of psychic readings, which the psychic readings are, helping people decide, make decisions. I always say and joke that I'm like, one of these days I'm going to do lottery numbers. And but
You'd make a lot of money. Take commission.
Yeah, right. That would be fun. And with the mediumship readings, I love doing those because I'm able to connect people to, deceased loved ones and relatives. And that's always so, it just takes me, by surprise even, because I'm still a human being. But so, basically I like to connect people with their own guidance because, in a way, everybody is a psychic. They just don't realize it. And I don't think some people want to be, but we all have our own internal guide. And I think that I like to say that I give people the confidence to just listen to that. But, the way that I describe it is that I get a divine narrative about people. And it's just something I can't turn off. Somebody asked me, can you turn this on, or do you turn this on or off? And I'm like, no, it's just always on. When I watch movies or TV shows, I find myself literally reading the actors that are acting. I'm like not watching the story. I'm like reading the actors and actresses. So
You're like put here to analyze.
right. Yeah. Which some people might not like that, but it's just something I've always done. I've always been a people watcher and thought I had a wild imagination, but come to find out I'm, getting these divine narratives, and I like that a lot.
I think that's just amazing. Thank you so much. That was very detailed. And I think that one thing that I remember when watching you for the first time, I actually met Sarah online when you were doing tarot readings live in one of the groups that I was in. And I remember not ever watching anybody do tarot readings before in my life until I saw you, and I was just aside from like blown away because you're absolutely gorgeous, I was inspired and I was learning so much just in like the first 15 minutes of watching you do this live tarot reading. And it was just an amazing experience. And I think I'm not the only one who's had that experience. And for our listeners that actually know you or know us, are probably nodding their heads right now like, yup, same. So what got you into doing that? Like what got you into tarot, I guess, initially?
I love that question, Andrea, because, I never really saw myself as just a tarot reader. And in fact, to give you kind of a not long-winded answer, I fell into it. I just really fell into it. As a child, I was always curious in the esoteric, everything, you know, all the stuff. Like when I was 8 years old, I told my grandmother I wanted to be a metaphysician. When she asked, "What does everybody want to be when they grow up?" And I said, "Metaphysician." But what got me into tarot was, what I do in my spare time is like, if I'm out in my car running errands and I get lunch or something, I'll be eating in my car and I just watch the people walk by and, I'll just people watch. And something just struck me one day, just literally struck me one day. And I thought, let me just do this. So I put a post on Facebook and I said, um, this is just random, but everybody just drop your first name in the comments and I'll give you my first impression. And it ended up being me reading everybody. And then I thought, oh my gosh, something else just, I hadn't got such divine inspiration before, but something said, you need to get some cards to help you. And the tarot cards to me, I always tell people they're just beautiful symbols on paper. They're not something that I worship or anything that I look towards and up to, but they are symbols and just like, so many different things in life, but much more specific. And so I was drawn to the tarot cards because it helped me build my confidence as a reader. And it helped me to say, it almost gave me something to say, well, I didn't say this, it was the cards, like blame the cards. But no, it was really very, very helpful. But yeah, I just kind of fell into it. I never would have guessed that I was going to be doing tarot ever. Because also when I was little, my grandmother, semi-religious, she always said, don't ever play on the devil's playground. So we were never allowed to play with Ouija boards and stuff like that, or, certain idols and things like that. So I don't consider myself religious. I consider myself someone who just loves people, and that's just what I do. And I love my higher power. And the tarot is just now become a beautiful helper. They're my assistant. So it just really
That's
gives
awesome.
dialogue.
Yeah, you're amazing with the cards. Like, I think I've learned more from you than anybody in regards to tarot, and it's like a second language to you. And I don't believe it is the devil's playground.
Right.
It's a communication tool,
Yes.
and it's actually an interesting thing that you brought that up, and I want to mention this, and I think you just gave me the opportunity to, is that a lot of people, I think, believe in that because they might have mistakenly began communicating with the wrong person or
Mm,
energy and
yeah.
had some negative effect, or thought they were talking to somebody, and what they might have experienced was something called a mimic,
Mm,
where and that can happen, you can have a bad energy kind of interfering with that, and
yeah.
it's just one of my I guess perspectives on that. But yeah, you're amazing either way with
You
the cards. I just wanted to say that again. What is your favorite thing to do, as far as, maybe it's the cards, but just not necessarily for service, but um, what is your go-to magic? Like, what's your go-to for resetting and healing? Like, what do you vibe with?
I would say right away channeling immediately. The first thing when you
Mhm.
said that, the first thing that popped to my mind is channeling. And, I don't think that I realized I was doing that either, channeling, but I always called it a stream of consciousness thought process. And what I mean by
Yeah.
that is, I would just start, if I was sitting in front of somebody and they would be asking me a question, I just would just say everything that was coming to my mind. And although to me it sounds crazy because it's not my information, it's just coming through me, which is how I operate. I'm a vessel, a tube for the information to flow through from the divine through my mouth, out my mouth to, whomever I'm speaking with. And channeling is one of my favorite ways because it's just something that I've always done. And it's magical to me. It's magical to me because some of the stuff that comes out is just, shocking to me too. I'm like, oh, okay. For the longest time, like I said, I thought I just had a wild imagination. So, and I still do have a wild imagination, but yeah, I would say channeling right away.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's actually a really good point to make too, because we're all intuitive beings. Like we
Yeah,
all, when somebody says, "Oh, you're a psychic," I sometimes want to say, "Yeah, you are too."
right.
It's just a matter of like kind of like tapping in. It's about like it's like using a muscle. Like you say that all the time too, and you're totally right. It's like you have muscles. If you use them, you see them, you understand them, and they work for you.
Yes.
Um, it's the same thing, and I think that a lot of people intuitively get those messages too, and then they disregard it or
Yes.
kind of second guess it and don't actually say it. And for you, when I understand, and for me too, that's kind of where I kind of just stopped second guessing. And
Yes.
if I was sitting with you and I randomly thought of pancakes, I'd tell you, you want pancakes? And maybe I'd be like, wait, I was just thinking about pancakes. What are you reading my mind? Maybe, but whatever it was, you know what I mean? It's just something that we have that energetic
Yes.
connection and that ability. And it's just a matter of kind of engaging it, right?
Right. Oh, I love that. And it's actually pretty interesting that you just said pancakes because that was one of a subject matter just a few hours ago. That's a very interesting, very good. But yes, absolutely.
Of course it was.
It takes a little bit of just not giving an F, 'cause for the longest time, I literally used to pray, God, give me a voice, please. When I was little, I remember saying these prayers, like, oh, please give me a voice. And because I'm an identical twin, as you already know, and my identical twin sister has always been the bolder one, the one that comes out and talks right away. And I've always been the one in the background, the silent one. And so, I sure got my voice, that's for sure. But yeah, I think that, you just have to be you have to not be afraid of being a little crazy or people thinking that you're crazy because, if you're doing something with setting an intention with, good intentions, good heart space, you're not doing anything wrong.
Right. And I think it comes with the package of being a twin or a triplet or just being a multiple
Yeah.
that you have already like a heightened value of intuition. Like
Yeah.
it's just, and I have twin sisters. I'm not the twin, but my sisters are twins, and I watch that. You know what I mean? Dynamic, and I'm sure anybody here that's a twin or triplet is probably again nodding their head like, yes, yes, we know this.
Yes.
Um,
Mhm.
and that's completely irrelevant. That's really cool. So I want to ask you this because, of course, we're on Paranormal Buzz Radio.
Oh yeah.
I know you've probably had paranormal experiences being a medium.
Oh yeah.
What's what's the most significant one that you can remember, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh gosh. I'm just going with the first things that come to my mind, and the first thing that comes to my mind is, it sounds crazy, but it really happened. Now, my twin sister and I were little baby children, and my mother, who's now she's passed away, but my mother used to tell the story of she came up to check on my sister and I. We were sleeping, and she said we were sleeping. The room was quiet, the windows were closed. But when she walked up, the curtains were standing straight out. And she said it scared her so bad that she ran out of the house. And I were like, Mom, what, you just leave us up there? She's
It's
like,
just
I was
left you.
scared. I was effing scared. And so she ran
Oh
right out of
no.
the house and, had our uncle come back up and get us or whatever. But, when I was little, I remember, playing catch with, I thought I was playing catch with an imaginary friend. I don't know if you remember the movie Drop Dead Fred, but
Mhm.
that was out when we were younger, little, I think, the movie Drop Dead Fred. And she's got
Yeah.
that's her imaginary friend. So, I've had a lot of odd experiences like that. But, the one time, I got to say this, I was in the shower years later, fast forward, and I literally was asking my sister, can you hand me something, the soap or whatever it was? And she handed it to me when she was in the bathroom, and I'm getting done, and I get out, and my sister wasn't there. She had gone somewhere. And I called her and I said, why'd you leave so quickly? And she's like, what do you mean? I haven't been home all day. And I'm like, what? And my heart just sank. I'm like, whoa. It just was so yeah, those little experiences just, yeah, pretty scary. But I've always had a fear of like that poltergeist and things like that. But I think the fear mitigates or brings that about. So, yeah, I just, it scares me. I'm getting chills talking about the curtains and everything, standing straight out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
I'll go
thank you
look
for
at them.
sharing. I was just definitely I was interested in hearing it. And all right, let's shake that off. All
Yeah.
right, okay, let's switch the gear. What do you do to cleanse your space, or what's your protection type of like go-to rituals, especially like before doing these readings that you do?
What I tend to do, I love that question. My protection, what I do is I just set an intention in my mind first that I will be protected and that I am protected. And I use the white light of the Holy Spirit, and or just imagine white light just enveloping everything that's around me, and in me. And I also believe in physical tools as well. So I do have certain crystals and pendant. I have a very beautiful wooden cross that I like to put on, um, and I just imagine my guides and even the unseen helpers just surrounding me. And as far as cleansing, what I do is I after readings I usually will just go right into the shower, not maybe not right into, but I'll play music as loud as possible and sing, and that just seems to work for me. Just lots of loud music, singing and dancing, like by myself in the kitchen or wherever I'm doing my readings at. So I really love to do that.
It covers all the bases. You're cleansing your body and your nervous system by singing, and your body physically by taking a shower, and your house by playing the music.
Yeah.
So you're taking care of it all. Like, you've got your routine to a T. I commend you for that.
Sometimes it's not as perfectly routine, but I just go with what feels right, and I just I'm like, I hope for the best here. But yeah,
Yeah,
that it's building that confidence, and that we are also our own protectors.
right. So you're still doing live readings,
Yeah.
and you do these readings on Facebook. You're on TikTok now.
Yeah.
um, and you do like free readings. And I know you're kind of a night owl, but I do see you sometimes during the day. Tell me what that's like for you. What does doing these readings do for you? What is it?
It's really fulfilling, doing these readings. And yes, I am on TikTok, and I started on Facebook, as you know, and on Facebook I'm Sarah E. Christ, psychic medium at large. And on TikTok it's just Sarah underscore Christ underscore. Um, but what really, it's very fulfilling because, you know, people, we're all human beings, and there's some desperate times we go through, and to be able to give somebody something genuine and pure, whether it's a word, whether it's a whole story, whether it's something, it's so fulfilling to me. It makes me feel good. It's the whole helping people and things like that. I'm a natural rescuer, and I thought, how can I rescue people without harming myself? Because I think in my lifetime we all kind of fall into that, being empathic, which a lot of people nowadays especially are. The empaths attract the narcissists and that whole dynamic. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
extremely fulfilling. And on TikTok, I like to do the live readings because I really am not good at planning when it comes to, I just let it come as it comes out, and um I like mornings, but yes, I do tend to do my readings at night, but I do a lot of readings in the morning, private readings and things like that. And it's just especially cool to actually, see that something resonated with somebody, because I'm still to this day, I'm like, oh, I second guess myself all the time still, which I'm working on stopping that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I think you're absolutely amazing. Everything I've witnessed and experienced with you and from you has been amazingly, superbly accurate. And not to say that we're always accurate, right? Because
Right.
any psychic that says, "Oh, I'm 100% accurate," is 100% full of shit.
Amen.
But like, you're authentic. You don't just make stuff up. You are energetically tuned in, and you bring these messages just as authentically as you receive them. And I mean, I've seen that. So I noticed you do have services up now. Can you tell us about your service menu and what you offer? Because what we were just discussing, just for the listeners, is um, Sarah does these free readings, so you can follow her and catch her um, when she hops on there. If you ever wanted to just like meet her on a live, or get a free card, or just a free, mini read, this is what she does. And for a spiritual worker to put that energy out there like she does is just absolutely amazing. And Sarah, being my friend, I've spent a lot of time saying, "Hey, get that service menu up," because
Yeah.
the energy exchange and the knowledge and the commitment and the experience that you have is totally worth it. So I saw that you finally did it, and I'm so proud of you for doing it. What are you offering now for services, and how can listeners get in touch with you to book?
Okay, so I love that. Yeah, what I'm offering now for services, I'm always offering tarot readings. I'm always offering love readings, mediumship readings, the classics, if as it were. But I'm also now getting into astrology, and I do aura readings as well, which aura readings, it's our EMF, the electromagnetic field around you, and I'm able to see the colors and the actual textures, which is really cool to me. And a lot of people think that, oh, don't I have to be right in front of you for that? And it's no, not you don't. It's not at all. Um, there's in my readings, I like to just include everything. Numerology. They're definitely you know distant readings and all that. But yeah, I offer it's the classics: tarot, psychic readings, mediumship readings. um and like I said, I'm doing astrology natal chart readings now, which I'm getting into, which is really fun because it just gets so detailed. And I think one of the most important things that I want to get across to people in my work is that some of the ancient Greek principles, which are the two main ones, is number one is to know thyself. It was inscribed in at the Delphic Oracle in ancient Greece. That was the first inscription, and the second inscription was to do nothing in excess or nothing too much. So, yeah, people. I tend to do a lot of love readings. I know that as a human race, relationships are very obviously important. So, I like to stay open too. If somebody basically there's not something, if somebody says, "Do you do this?" I'm going to try to learn how to do it if I don't already do it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's amazing. I really, um, it's inspiring, to be honest. I have only a few things that I particularly choose to do.
Mm.
And it takes a lot of energy to open yourself up to just doing that. And I, again, commend you for that as well. How
Oh,
about mediumship?
ooh, yeah, mediumship. I don't. I love mediumship, and I used to get very intimidated by mediumship because I didn't want to give anybody any wrong information. I wanted it to resonate 100% every single time. And I realized, Andrea, that not everything's going to resonate all the time because some stuff hasn't happened yet,
Yeah.
that's coming through. So with mediumship, yeah, I definitely, that's one of my strongest services that I do as mediumship. And I almost, I always used to think mediumship was somebody going into a trance and speaking as the relative and
Yeah.
that thing. But
Media did that, huh?
it's interesting. But
Yeah.
yeah, I do love mediumship readings a lot. I take all my readings very seriously, but especially mediumship readings because it's a sensitive subject, being, talking with somebody's passed away relative and loved ones. And it's just something that I can also align with because a lot of us can also relate with losing people, and I've lost quite a bit of people in my life. And so it just, that's such a fulfilling thing to bring that back around full circle for somebody, to see them, relieved, or, just feeling a sense of calm, even just with reaching their grandmother or their boyfriend or whomever that it is that has passed. So I love that.
Yeah. That's amazing. And you're very good at um, mediumship as well. I've also witnessed Sarah in action doing mediumship. So I can personally highly recommend Sarah E. Christ and everything that we've discussed on this podcast. And I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening. I know you're so busy. You're doing your lives, you're taking care of clients, your family, and you just do all the things. And I just wanted to say that I really appreciate you taking the time. I know we mentioned a few times in the podcast, but just one final time, if anybody listening wants to get in touch with you, where should they find you to link up and book reading or service?
Yeah, okay. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for all the kind things you said, and it's just been amazing,
Oh, you're welcome.
as well. And I just appreciate you having me. I really do. I feel very honored to be, a part of this with you. And if anybody would like to get a hold of me and book a reading, I am on TikTok, as Andrea mentioned, and that is Sarah, SARAH underscore Christ, just like Jesus, CHRIST underscore, Sarah underscore Christ underscore. And by the way, for all of the listeners here, that is my real
Any
last name. That's
relation?
the government name.
They want to know if you're related.
Aren't we all related? That is, I always say that because I get that question quite a bit too. Are you related to Jesus? And I'm like, aren't we all? We all. But yeah, on Facebook, it's Sarah E. Christ, psychic medium at large. I know it sounds like a mouthful, but searching Sarah E. Christ, you'll see me. And I have an email as well. It's sechrist722@yahoo.com. So, those are the three main ones right there: TikTok, Facebook, and my email. I will have a business line coming up here this next month or two. So I'm looking forward to that as well, to be able to offer, my actual phone to people, my phone number.
Yeah, there you go. That's awesome. So yeah, make sure if you've listened in and you want to connect, go find Sarah on the social media platform of your heart's desire, and don't hesitate to link up with her. You will not be disappointed. Again, Sarah, thank you so much. I think you're just an amazing human being, a goddess. Like, you're just
I
all around. And you're a good friend. You really are. You're an authentic being and a really great friend. And I
you're,
really appreciate you for that.
you are amazing. I'm so honored. I am. You just got me. I'm smiling from ear to ear. I'm like, oh, please,
Good.
so sweet. Thank you
That's
so
what I'm
much
here
for having.
for. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening in on this Wicked Wednesday. Stay spooky, and we will haunt you later.